Hey everybody, I'm Jenny Gold and I'm the owner and founder of Jenny's Gold Standard and PodcastNotPodcast. Now you guys might be wondering what not podcast is about, right? Everybody asks me. But it's really about autoimmune diseases. But today I'm going to have Statham on from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, because he is going to talk about a lot of really fun things like this, like wine. There's going to be no bacon today because we're going to be talking about wine and cancer. Now we know that a lot of people don't want to talk about cancer again, but we have a lot in common when it comes to that also, and we're going to talk about that today. So Rob's going to be on today, and he's passionate about wine, spirits, and beer. He's an expert in all three, and he's going to tell you why he is, because his father told him a lot about wine, and I think spirits too, right, Rob? When you come on, you can tell us about that. But he's presenting, facilitating, and hosting a lot of different wine, beer, and spirit events. He's going to talk about that too. His personal journey began, like I said, with his father, who's passionate about the subject, collecting books on the topic, and he was a maker of wine and beer also. My dad loved wine too, which is very ironic because we lived in San Francisco for a while, and we moved back to Michigan with boxes and boxes of wine. And Rob does not know that, but we drank not boxes, but like nice wine, but in big containers for like years. So anyway, I want Rob to tell you guys everything about himself because he is actually a French wine scholar, a Italian wine scholar. He can tell you all about that too. But he is very well known in this industry. He has a lot of viewers and listeners to his shows, and I can't wait to introduce you guys to him. So why don't we bring Rob on?
Hey, thanks for having me, Jenny. This is terrific. It's great to get together with you, and it's great to really be a part of your whole community now. I think this is, I'm grateful. Thank you. What a great opportunity to talk about some of the things that I love and I'm passionate about, as well as to share some of the battles I've had and some of the battles that we conjointly share. Losing family members to cancer. And for those that are really out there watching this show, we're here for you. We've been there. And grief is a daily battle. It never really goes away. But the good news is you shine knowing that loved ones want you to be the best version of yourself, right? And hey, let's cheers to that, Jenny. I see some nice Sauvignon Blanc there. I've got a Chardonnay from Napa by chance, Beringer Napa Valley Chardonnay from 2018. I think that was a fairly decent year for vintage variation. Vintage really does matter because the growing season and the conditions in which those grapes grow in vary very much so from year to year. Napa, of course, California. You're in the Columbia Valley, I believe, which is a Washington State Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc means savage and white. So sauvage is wild or savage. And these two grapes' origins come from France. Chardonnay comes from Burgundy, which is north or sort of northeast of, I would say, of Bordeaux. You're looking more Sauvignon Blanc on the west coast of France. Bordeaux is a premier wine growing region, much like Burgundy is, which is the home of these two grapes. Sauvignon Blanc. How do you like it, by the way? Do you enjoy it?
It's very, what's the word? It's not very strong. I know a lot of Chardonnays I didn't like when I was younger because they were very strong, but now they don't seem to be quite as strong, the correct word. I don't know. Maybe sometimes they're more smoky, but the Sauvignon Blanc is more, maybe sweeter almost. Is that correct?
Well, do you find it more aromatic? Like it's more fruity? It's got different, it's an aromatic grape, Sauvignon Blanc.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. And also
a bit perfumey, a bit fruity, gooseberry, elderflower, pear, apple, those kinds of citrus notes. Some people say some herbaceousness, some flintiness if it's oaked, like Fumé Blanc. Chardonnay tends to be a richer, heavier wine, especially if it's been aged in barrels, which helps soften the acidity, but it adds to the body. You take that malic acid and convert it to lactic acid. It's malolactic fermentation. And from there, what happens is you get this kind of mouth coating milkiness and butteriness to this wine. And that's not everybody's cup of tea, really. I love it. But I would say of the two, and they're two really noble grapes because various wine producing regions throughout the world produce exceptional quality Chardonnay or Sauvignon Blanc. They're some of the most widely cultivated white grapes. So Chardonnay is actually number 2 in the world. I'm trying to remember where Sauvignon Blanc is, but I'm pretty sure it's in the top 5 or 6, probably top 6 or 7 of those white grapes planted. Some are obscure, like Ariane. You probably never heard of that, but that's the most widely planted white grape in the world. It's Spanish. But Sauvignon Blanc, you know, it's nice and acidic. It's lighter. Yeah. It goes really well with things like shellfish, whitefish, light salads with goat cheese and raspberry or, vinegar, strawberry vinaigrette. And it's one of those wines.
It's free.
People love it, you know, because it's easy to drink. But that's a bit about wine with me, you know. It's always passionate to talk about it.
Yes. So I was just going to say we have a lot of guests already. We have a lot of guests in the chat.
Tim, hey! Tim Sohn, one of my favorite people. Hey, Tim has a cancer drive coming up, and that is really, really important. We're going to talk a bit about that as well. I believe that's going to launch on April 22nd, a 12-hour live to raise money for leukemia and lymphoma. As we were talking in the green room, Jenny, my father passed from that disease. So I'm particularly passionate about helping solve that, as well as breast cancer, which took my sister's life. So, I mean, there's some great people here. Russ Hedge, Kenny D. Savor the flavor, baby. But once again, thank you.
For the bacon. He's like, does she have bacon? I was going to ask me. There's no bacon here today, Kenny D, so don't even ask. You just have this. And this.
Cheers to you, my friend. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you so much for being on my show. I appreciate it. I've been waiting. Honestly, I had to push him back because of my mom. So, and I just lost my mom. So it was very nice that he would do this a little bit later. So thank you.
Yeah. And I feel for anybody that's lost. I think in some ways, we suffer more as survivors of around those we've lost than those who have lost the battle because it's kind of final for them. For us, our journey is still here for many years to come.
Right.
And, you know, you'll never forget your mom. I'll never forget my dad. I'll never forget my twin sister for sure.
My dad too. Yeah, I know.
And it's the impact that it has for you. Now, I couldn't imagine. I've seen people fight and survive cancer. Wow, what a hellish battle that is to go through. You know, we talk chemo and what that does to you because, you know, it either poisons the disease out of you or it poisons you at the same time and you don't survive. And then there's, of course, there's the side effects of chemotherapy that I saw with my twin sister, which, you know, I don't think they got all the disease out of her. She had breast cancer and she had stage 3 breast cancer. So it was in the lymphatic system. And then that lymphatic system carried that disease like a super highway into her liver, which was stage 4. And that caused her death. But leukemia, or not leukemia, I'm saying chemotherapy, bone, brain, liver are common cancers to come back to people after they've survived their first bout with the first illness in the first place.
Right. I think we just lost DJ because she's going to go get her own wine.
Ah, bless it.
All right, go and get a glass of wine if you'd like.
Yeah, no, sit down and enjoy.
I know, right?
The drink while we talk about some hard subjects because really living is not, it's not all balls and laughs, you know. I try to share that with my virtual event side. And I know you wanted to ask me about that, but it's just.
Yep, we're going to ask about that actually.
Yeah.
You want me to ask about that now? Because I can.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Why not? So let's do question number 1. Oh, wait. Actually, maybe question. Yes, here it is. There's a lot of questions for him. A lot of things to bring up. There you go.
So virtual tastings of wine, spirits, and beer. It's evolved as I've evolved with doing this. This really came out from the pandemic as live events got smashed. I had to pivot. Tim was there. I have to say I shared a disastrous experience with Tim on the consumer side where the host, was showed up in a remote location. I don't think he's a great guy, and I'm not going to hold it against him. I just think he wasn't as prepared as he should have been. A couple of the guests that did show up didn't even bring the right product, and we're missing product. But really, if I back that up, I really focus on corporate, and corporate events are a much better structure because on the virtual tastings, they come in with a plan. They want to engage their people. And virtual is really powerful because you can cross people through different time zones. Right. You can take people through different localities and put them on this journey together. And for me, really, it started off with the wine and beer journey because that's where I'm most proficient. So talk about the history of it. Now I have an opening drink, so I get them right into the mode with something light and easy. Could be Sauvignon Blanc is a great opening drink, for instance, in wine because it's light and zesty. And then you can crack into the heavier bodied whites and reds. With beer, it could be a light gluten-free lager that's, effervescent. It's almost like it's got that effervescence like a light buttery, like a biscuity champagne in a glass, but in beer form, people can really enjoy that to start the topic off, gets them in the mood. And the power of virtual really sits, like I said, you can connect people from different parts of the world now. It has really decentralized the whole event platform. You think live events, they're great, and I'm a big proponent of them. But you really have to have your people almost centralized for it. Like if they all fly into an international event, then you have somebody host something like this live. If you have it decentralized like tech teams where they have people doing various different works from different parts of the world, or you have alumni associations where there's a fundraising drive, or as what Tim's doing with this whole drive for leukemia and lymphoma to become Man of the Year with that project. Our goal is to hit $50,000 with it. The goal of all that, the beauty of things like this is you can bring people together virtually in a decentralized way. And that's really, open your hearts and wallets. There it is for blood cancer's 12-hour fundraiser. But this is no different to really a virtual event. Now, if it's wine, spirits, or beer, we just focus on a little bit of the history of it. We talk a bit about the winery, the brewery, or distillery. Then again, the celebratory aspects. What does this stuff pair with? Why do you enjoy it in the first place? It's such a subjective subject that really your goal is to open people's eyes and horizons as to what's really out there. And since then, I've evolved and really partnered with a great company called Cheftorial, which is a virtual dinner party experience company. I've handled the sommelier experience of the pairing of the food with wine, spirits, or beer for a little while. And really, that's how it is. Really, you close it off and you wrap it up with a Q&A, and you just pull people together to have a good time. Basically, you're bringing the party into your living room or your office, because you can't travel or fly, or it's a lot more cost effective than trying to pay for flights from put people from different parts of the world or different regions in a country together. So that's really a bit about it. And that's really the power of it. And it tends to work with certain groups really well. Anything that works remote or decentralized, for instance. And that's where we're headed. Our society is getting more and more so this way, right? More and more people are working from home. More people are working remote. You no longer have to be in a big city to get the job done. You could be sitting out in a township 200 miles away on a lake, having a great time doing your work. Well, the only way you're going to engage people in those places is to tie them in virtually. You're not going to fly them in anymore. They're not going to drive hours to be to that event. It's not realistic.
What can you do this side? You made a mean homemade chocolate beer.
Nice. Love it.
I love them. Thanks, Sandy D. That's very nice. I just want to throw that in there. So we have people right now, a friend of mine from boarding school, who said he's having a pasta dish right now. They have a glass of wine because we're having this show today.
That's awesome. Cheers to you. And I hope he enjoys that pasta dish.
Nice. Exactly right. We're kind of jealous because we don't have that.
Remember, food drives the wine. It's not the other way around. Wine doesn't. You don't go to a shop saying, "Wow, I'm going to buy that Chardonnay today because I'm going to pair it with that chicken." Yeah. You're going to sit back going, "Well, wait a second. I'm having a duck confit tonight, and it's oily, and I want something weighty with acidity to cut through. How about that French Chardonnay? How about that white Burgundy, like a Meursault, for instance, to cut through that nice dish?" You don't think of it in terms of the other way around. So that's cool. Cooking and eating, having wine or beer with dinner I always say drink in light moderation. I'm a big avid, I'm avid into fitness too. So my philosophy has always been, don't drink every day. That's foolish. Take a break from it. Drink 2 or 3 times a week. That's what I do. And then when I do drink, it's not heavy. Once in a while it is. I will hit a party or some celebratory occasion with a bunch of friends. But I'll regret it the next day because your head's in pain. And I'm 50 years old now. You don't recover the same.
No. Are you serious? No, you're not.
I am 50.
That means I'm going to tell you how old I am. But anyway, moving on. So that's very exciting. I'm glad that you're working with that new company. I think it was a company about with the food.
Cheftorial. Yeah. We're actually doing something neat with real estate agents. We can talk a bit about this. The virtual dinner party experience. So anybody who buys a luxury home, we're encouraging the real estate agents to buy a virtual dinner party experience for the client who bought that. So if you think about it, these luxury homes, $1 million plus, well, that's almost a regular house in Canada these days, but with inflation. But really, the truth of it is you're going to make $30,000 or $40,000 in a commission check, and the government's going to come along and want to take a big arm of tax out of that. Well, why not give it back a little bit to the people? Spend a couple grand, have the virtual dinner party experience with it, get your friends together for 60 minutes. That way you can showcase the house you just bought. Everybody loves to do that buys a luxury home, because who the hell doesn't? And with it, it also provides a great networking opportunity for the real estate agent that can sit as sort of like a sub-host during the time we host that party to get to network and build other clientele within the friends and family of the person they just sold that home to, all through a virtual platform. And they can do it in a way that reaches to different regions throughout the world. So that's something we're working on. It's exciting. That's going to be a launch coming soon. I think I did a short little video on that. And I've put out a couple posts, and I did a poll on it. I like LinkedIn polls because you can use it to really delve and dive into information, as opposed to asking people what kind of chocolate they like to eat, for instance. Unless you're a chocolatier, it's kind of irrelevant, but you can use it to mine some great information. Yes. But, that's, for me, the positive of all this is it lights people up and brings joy, because, we're going to get into that subject of cancer, and that is not joyful. So what we have to really embrace is the good around us. Right. And these virtual events really bring the good around people. And that's really why I love being in this space. Because somebody asked me one day, said, one word, why the hell did you ever get in a wine, beer, and spirits world? I look at them and say, it's simple. It's called joy. Yeah. One word to answer why I'm in this business: joy.
I like that answer, actually. It's a great answer. And I think a lot of these people that are on here right now, they're on here because they like it. They like it too, and they like what it brings it out in people. And they get together with their friends, their family. And I'll tell you, when having to have all these big events like Christmas and Thanksgiving again this past year again, and being able to have spirits with your friends when you're online, eating your Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners, it was actually fun. I actually had friends that had Valentine's Day dinners, like with their friends and everything, too.
We used to have the singles Valentine. Yeah. I'm not single anymore, but we used to have the single Valentine's Day party, which was hilarious, because I think the last one we had was like 7 years ago, and it was literally a good hopping crowd of like 15 to 20.
I had one in my house,
from their 30s and 40s, even into the early 50s, having a laugh, and some attractive people in there, some really good, positive, upbeat people. Just circumstances lead some people to be single. And that's another thing you can do too. Mark these days to celebrate it. Right. I even said, hey, have a divorce party if you're happy to be out of that marriage. I mean, it's just, there's always a reason to grab some joy or gravitate. I just like to have a glass of wine sometimes. Like just sitting here breaking bread with you, just celebrating life, because that's really what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because we've been through some shitty times. Like, look, even Tim watching it. Can you imagine living with fighting cancer for 15 years? I saw somebody do it for 15, and just having a family and just wondering every day, is it going to get better or worse? What do I tell my kids? What happens if I'm gone? Is my wife going to be okay? The kid's going to be okay. And across that hurdle and win is a celebration in itself.
Right.
You know, and I know you lost your mom. It's wow.
Yeah. Lost my dad 6 or 7 years ago. So, I mean, that wasn't easy either. And I haven't been with them when they passed. I wasn't fighting. I mean, I saw my dad when he was fighting it, but I wasn't there with him. I did talk to him the night before he passed, which he was fine. Like, he was fine then, but we already knew he probably wasn't going to make it. My mom, that was a different story. That was pretty fast. I mean, people are going pretty fast right now. But I do have a more positive thing to bring up. Have you ever heard of the day of the year where people like pull out their oldest bottle of wine that they're saving forever, like break them with their friends, and you have a dinner party, and you open this bottle of wine, you don't know if it's going to be good or bad because it's been there. Maybe on the shelf for 25 years. Today I was like, should I pull out that bottle that's like 20 years, 25 years old right now? And I was like, I don't know if I want to open that on the show because what if it's not good, right? Never know.
I think that's a freaking awesome idea.
Isn't it? Yeah,
I had never thought of that. That's a great idea. Like, I've got a couple things cellaring, you know. When I clocked 50, I got a bottle of Camus. I went out and I got some gift certificates. My friend spoiled me rotten. My girlfriend really spoiled me rotten. She was the one who organized that party on the actual day of my birthday. And that is a freaking great idea, man. Like, take your best, take your oldest bottle of wine. I think I've got I think I've got a sweet wine in here from like 2000. I need to crack that at some point. Ice wine. And who cares? Let's take the risk, eh? Like, hey, everyone, I got some I got some vanilla ice cream for you all to bite in with apple crumble. Let's try this and sprinkle it on and have a glass of it and go, wow, that might taste really good or that's really bad. You know, we don't know. And DJ, Pinot Grigio, great wine. One of the best. That's, you know what? For advice out there for people, and I learned this from Jennifer Simonati Bryan, a master of wine. This is not my thought, but this is, you know, some of the greats, and this is one of my mentors. Pinot Grigio is awesome because it's a neutral wine. If you want something that's mid-bodied, mid-flavor profile, mid-acidity, you know, just sort of packs a medium punch and you're lost, and it sort of goes with that sunny cottage or the backyard or a light dinner, pork, chicken, or some whitefish. Pinot Grigio is a brilliant wine to grab a hold of as a varietal.
Yeah, I've actually tried. I was actually going to get that for tonight, and I said, no, I'm going to get that one instead because I never liked white wines that well, but recently, I don't know, maybe because I'm getting older. I don't know if it's that, but I was really into reds, and then I kind of went back to the whites, and now I'm getting back into the reds and the whites, but not the rosés. But I know they're very popular right now. So my question for you, though, you were going to say something about rosé, weren't you?
I was, but it's okay. How do I choose my Friday features?
Yep, I was just going to say that.
Okay, sorry, it came up here on the.
I was just going to say that.
I look for people who are passionate, people who are doing unique things. I don't look for whether they're rich or poor. I don't care about that. I look at impact, and I look at genuine impact. You know, if you're part of an engagement pod and you're spamming a pile of nonsense, I'm probably not going to look at you. You know, I made the mistake of looking at that in the early stages. I didn't know people were in things like that, but I look for people who have and build a genuine audience. They're doing genuine things because it's hard. It's hard to build a community in real terms. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of elbow grease. It's a lot of sweat and tears. I know, I live it. I do it. And it doesn't matter whether that person has 200,000 followers, 1 million followers, or 55 followers. That is not my criteria. My criteria is if I come across somebody and I go, wow, damn, they're doing some shit that has some serious impact, I'm going to look at you and think about fitting you in. And, you know, because you fit somebody who, it ties into my whole theme of my virtual happy hour experience podcast, Extraordinary Drinks with Extraordinary People. I could change that title to call it the Extraordinary Feature for Extraordinary People. That's really what the Friday feature is. Yeah. And it's about uplifting and showcasing people really doing incredibly unique and rare things to our community. You know, live streaming. For instance, it's not easy to do this. Live streaming's a different beast to recorded podcasts. I even attempted a foray into this, and I'm probably one of the early adopters to get a LinkedIn Live account. I've been sitting on it for like 2 or 3 years, and I'm still getting my head around a live show. people who do these things are doing great things. People who fight for cancer and the freedom of others from fighting for it, like Tim Sohn, or, that are out to talk about some of the deep and dark issues of what we face, like yourself. These things make you extraordinary. It's triumphing over adversity is another key factor. Impact. Tim has nailed it on the head. Impact to me is triumphing over adversity. Somebody faces great adversity and faces that tiger and wins. I think you're an extraordinary person doing extraordinary things that we can learn from.
Yes. And Dimitri just showed up too.
I love Dimitri. He's such a positive, enthusiastic dude.
He always is, isn't he?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what the thing is, when you wrote me and said, hey, send me a picture and this and that, a little bit, I was like, what? Like, you're afraid of future. I'm like, well, what is that? I didn't even know. You didn't even know. And I was really, really taken back.
That's cool.
All of a sudden I read that. I was like, how does he know me? Like, I was like, did you talk to me about me? Did you how did you find out these things about me? And you told me it was just kind of by listening to me. And
it was from listening to you. I believe you were a guest. You might have been a guest on Tim's show.
Actually, Tim came out on my show.
Or Tim came. That's it. Tim came on your show. You hosted it, and you guys had a pretty heartwarming, heart-to-heart talk. A lot about what his battles were and what your experiences were with it.
Yeah, he had not told anybody about that yet. So that was like a really big deal.
That's right. That was the big release about, and the fact that he was coming up to 15 years, or he just passed it and came just clean for the first time in 15 years. And, it was like, how do I break this to my, I had to just recently break it to my kids. I had cancer, and and I mean, that talk alone affected me. That is what wrote the feature for you. And what captivated me with Tim was a combination of that. You've got a guy who's earnest and honest. You have someone that, I watched him first helping Brian co-produce the Saturday Shoutout Saturday. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I think I tried to reach out to Tim. We didn't know each other. And I think Tim looked at me going, hey, I don't know who this guy is. And I kind of persisted. We became friends, and I'm very grateful that we became really good friends. And, I've got people like Nancy Burrows that, she triumphed over actual sexual abuse. You've got people who literally lost everything only to regain it all on the 10th try to become millionaires. They're featured. You have people that, like Kenny D, for instance, that just makes a presence, uplifting everybody and supporting people. These people are all incredible. Dimitri Ortiz, it's rare that you take somebody in the tech space that's able to spin so much personality and flair into it, because, listen, I worked in the tech space before getting into the wine space, and a lot of it's very dry and stiff. So you can find somebody that can take a flair of personality, especially you start getting to robotic process automation that he's into. Some of these people, just cool backgrounds with these people. DJ Durant, military. I know she's helping produce this show today. I love DJ. Talking about a military veteran, trauma survivor. I could imagine there's probably some PTSD from some of what she's experienced with trauma, with the military, with a whole host of things. The military alone is a tough racket. Mm-hmm. And to go out there and be such a big advocate for disability and awareness, producing a show. And a lot of these people are doing it against all odds. I mean, being an entrepreneur on top of it is pretty tough. It's especially if you're not handed it. I know what it's like to run things on a shoestring budget and have to build from there. And for those of you that are part of this or listening to this, just don't quit. Money will come through. Just don't quit. Just keep driving it.
Right.
Keep reaching out for support in your community. We'll give it to you. It's just, it's a road that we're all on, really. I mean, look, you're building Jenny Gold Standard. I love the name, by the way, the Gold Standard. I wish we were back on the gold standard in real terms in the world. We wouldn't have all these financial messes that we're in. But
Exactly. I agree with you on that one. So let's see. Do we have any other questions? Does anybody have it? Oh, Maria Rouse is here. Thank you, Maria, for being here. She just got here too. So the pictures are amazing. So that is your father?
That is. So that was the jersey he's wearing. He was an Ottawa Senators fan. And this is about a month before he passed. I had won tickets to see a game, so I brought him there. Unfortunately, they lost 3-2. I think they were playing the Colorado Avalanche that night. That jersey, I also won, and I gave it to him to honor him with it. I gave that jersey eventually to one of my judo coaches. I was a judo competitor for a long time, and he fit into it because my dad, this is the sad part of cancer. He's frail there, but my dad used to be about that height. He's about 5'10". I'm 6 feet, but he was like a 220, 30-pound man, big shoulders and strong. It was amazing how he fought cancer because he was given a time to live. I mean, he was 72 when he contracted it. He died at 74. He would have been 75 that year. Yeah. And he never quit. He never bitched. He never complained. I watched him suffer. I watched him go through blood transfusions. He'd go every 3 weeks. He couldn't come down to our sister Tierney's wedding in Florida, in Naples, Florida at the time, because, traveling and insurance and fighting cancer aren't good plans. It's not a good thing to do. High altitude would affect him as well, so it wasn't recommended. But my father never lost his resolve. He always stayed. I found he actually got more positive in life in his last years. My dad used to be a bit of heart and a bitter man, and he lightened up with age. And in cancer, he kind of knew it was his finale coming up. He had a few months to live. I can't remember if it was CML goes to AML or AML goes to CML. Tim can help me out with this one big time. But
is it bone cancer?
He knew in the end it was leukemia, but in the end, I think it did creep into his bones and the platelet levels were through the roof. And I remember I was the first one on site in his last week of life when he was in the hospital. We were in the hospital day in and day out for a week. There's a photo somewhere that we're all in masks, like the masks we wear with COVID now, but it was to protect him because at that stage, anything could kill him, being supported by so many machines, and he was checking out. And we brought my sister Tina on her way over from Angola into England, brought like a $300 bottle of 21 years age Glenfiddich Scotch, and he's having a drink of us like 2 days before he passed. His focus and awareness was incredible. I just still baffles me on the way out and he died with a smile. The resolve. And even my twin sister's resolve with cancer at the end, she knew she was checking out. She just said, this is no way to live. This is a crappy quality of life. My time's done. And wrote us all letters as to what she wanted us to succeed and do. It's crazy. And their journeys changed me forever to be better, because it realizes, when you're 20 years old, you think you got all this time to piss away. But you never really had that time to piss away. It was meant to be productive. Because it's a gift that we're alive every day, and especially a gift of good health. It doesn't matter what age you're at, that can turn on a dime. Even the fittest, strongest people, that can happen to.
Yes, and because not to come talk about me, but I was just going to say the Lyme disease, I got that in school, but I really got it in college too. We know for sure. And people in college were like, no, whatever, okay, she'll be fine. Now, and I have a GoFundMe and everything. They're like, whoa, she still has that, and it's really bad. And now they understand, because they're losing family members to other things too. Maybe they've gone through met other people that have Lyme disease. Maybe they have cancer patients. They're cancer patients. Maybe themselves have gotten cancer. So it's really a different world when you get older, because all of a sudden they're like, damn, it's not good to getting sick, because they didn't understand. Like in college, everybody's really great. They were very nice, but I just don't think they understood, like when you have 5 internships in college, you have to drop out for a year because you lose your mind, like literally lose your mind.
Yeah, Lyme disease is nasty. I've got a friend that suffered with that, and I think she still suffers with it a bit. She's up and down. She's in her 50s. That tick may have bit her 20 years ago. And it still comes back, and it comes back into autoimmune. Now she's got like all these rare and unique allergies to certain things. Like as soon as somebody lights a cigarette from 300 feet away, she's like feels nauseous and sick. If somebody comes and paints a step in a certain type of paint, she feels nauseous. It's not, to go through that and your own personal journey is tough as hell. When
you're younger too. And these
I can't relate fully because I've always been healthy. It's not like
Right.
My twin, who was sickly from the age of 13 on, we thought it was a form of muscular dystrophy, but couldn't lift her hands over her head from 13 on. And fighting cancer, I've never seen so much strength and resolve in somebody. It's just, and it's true. It's, you don't know what people are going through, because on the surface, I mean, I look at you on the surface, you look well, you look healthy, you look strong. And I'm sure you are most days, but there are days, obviously, with what you have, it feels like a truck drove over you and it's out of your control. And this shit isn't in our control. It's, you'd be delusional to think otherwise. And it's just, yeah, the fact that you're even here doing this podcast in that cool apartment, I complimented on that's your actual apartment. I think it looks like a freaking nice apartment. It's huge. By the looks of it. It's the longest space. It looks awesome, but it's just, you don't realize what others go through until they actually delve deep. And getting back to the Friday feature, you will note that pretty much everybody I chose or have chosen has gone through great pains and adversity themselves. It's a common theme. It seems to be a theme that gets people over the hump to great success. Show me somebody who hasn't had some pains and tribulations, and I'll probably show you an unsuccessful person in life.
Right. Exactly. Is it Mark, I never say his name right.
Kageyama.
Yes, exactly. I just talked to him the other day, and I'm talking to the woman that's working with him on his food and everything. His cancer, is it 3 or 4, stage 3 or 4? He's like, it's almost gone. And I'm working with his person that he's working with right now in North Carolina. She said, "Oh, were we doing drink a glass of wine?" I'll be like, "But it was so good. It was like fruity flavor." So it was just a fruit flavor. But yeah. So he's an overcomer for sure.
Big time.
Big time. And you guys, he found out he had cancer during COVID, like a year ago. Just over a year ago. Wasn't that correct?
And he's he's not young either. He's like, he looks young, but he's like 62, 63. And usually when somebody's given a prognosis like that at that age, it's not good. I know this from reading a lot about cancer between my two direct family members whose lives it ultimately took. The younger you are to a certain point, and it's funny because even with breast cancer, most of the people who survive are the 40s or 50s. Younger women and older women, it takes away, because younger women, it terrifies, and older women don't have the constitution. And, there's a lot of men. I think Mark looks like he's always been in strong physical shape. He looks like he's a fit guy to begin with. And make no mistake, physical activity and fitness is a huge determinant in survivability or just not getting sick. And, how do you explain somebody who smokes a bit, but they work out all the time? They don't have any problems. Other people, they do nothing. They don't have any vices, but they do nothing. And doing nothing is probably far more toxic than obviously doing something and moving and being in motion. And your mental wellness, your mental and emotional wellness is critical. Listen, I went to some dark places with the death of my sister in particular. And the first year and a bit, it was not fun.
No. And I had a friend in Vail when I lived in Vail who was very active, and didn't smoke, nothing, and came down with lung cancer and died. How does that happen? Like, he did not smoke, he did not do anything. He just, he drinks.
It's weird. I've smoked the odd cigarette in life or the odd cigar. I enjoy the odd cigar.
Cigarette,
I have my brother-in-law, who's my late twin sister's husband, fit as hell, mountain biking, a short, little powerful guy, legal mind, a lawyer, very successful, fucking had lung cancer. He had a chunk of his lung removed when we were down in Florida for my sister Tierney's wedding. And we didn't even know until we got back that my sister said, well, he had a lung and some damage to it. They weren't sure, but they got to remove a lobe of it. And it gets back, the lobe was cancerous. Now he's been completely clean since, but we're talking about a guy who drinks sometimes, but never did anything abusive to his health. Ends up with it. And then you've got other friends of mine that they smoked like freaking demons for 30 years. And you're wondering how the hell are they still walking about without an ailment? They cough a bit, but you're like, they go to the doctor and the doctor's like, your lungs are still miraculously somewhat pink and you're in actually pretty good shape. And I'm going, how? But it's just, whereas you're right. getting back to this, there's no determining factor that could really clock it.
No, they're not. So I'm really glad that you came on the show, though. I hope that everybody else was. There's been a lot of people on the show today commenting a lot. You didn't brought up half of them. It's okay. And this, you know what? We're going to talk about the drunken grape really quick.
Sure.
Now I want to ask you. You can talk about it if you like.
Sure. So the drunken grape, the name came from my stepmother, believe it or not. I was stuck on a name. I was calling it the Bacchus Beverage Group, Dionysus, you know, Greek and Roman, the god of wine, are one and the same. And I was sitting back and I was like, fuck, what do I name this company? And my stepmother back in October of 2015, around Sunday, which is the eve of our Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is the first Monday in October in Canada. It's not the third Thursday as it is in the States. Is it the third or fourth Thursday? I think it's the fourth Thursday in the US. But we're sitting back and we're like, she goes, why don't you just call it the drunken grape? And I'm like, we're busted a gut laughing. I had my sister there with her partner from they're in Portugal at the time. And I'm like, there's no fucking chance this name's available. So I guess there's like a 0.001% chance. So I did a noun search on in Ontario for a business name. And sure enough, it was there. I'm like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. And every social media handle I picked the drunken grape was available. Then I was able to get the .ca. Then I wanted to get the .com, and somebody owned it. We put a bid, I think, up to $2,500 or $3,000 on it. Wow. They kept ignoring me. Then I bought the name, so it became a trademark. It became a registered mark. I paid for that process. It's like a patent. They dropped the name, and I picked it up for $9. That .com on GoDaddy.com on back order. Yeah. So really, the Drunken Grape, again, focuses on virtual events. I do live events locally, but that sort of has petered off. I like the virtual platform because I want to become a digital nomad. That's another passion of mine. I want to get out and just, you know, have a boatload of wealth and be able to travel and then share that wealth to help other people. I don't need fancy objects and big houses and fancy cars. It's never been a driver for me. I love driving them, but somebody else's and I get to give it back. I don't have to worry about this huge bill of maintenance and this monthly payment that's gross. I mean, it's just, you know. So the other part of it is doing videography and video branding for wineries and breweries. That has always been something I've dabbled in. I've done some projects. So that's an aspect of it too. And I'm really looking to expand it where we've moved into a partnership with Chef Toriel. You got to check that company out, cheftorial.com, the virtual dinner party experience. So that's sort of where the Drunken Grape's at. Yeah, that's really it.
Chef Toriel, you said it's called?
Chef Toriel.
How do you spell that?
Chef Toriel. I'm going to put it up in the chat section there.
The chef in the background. Hey, JJ? Chef Toriel.
Toriel.com. DJ's looking at us. We went clearly a lot longer than we planned. I think this is great.
We're going to do like a half hour, but
I hope everyone's still engaged and loving it.
We do. I know, right? Everybody likes to talk to us. Come on, Rob. We're both popular.
Yeah. Hey, listen, to everyone that's tuned in, thank you so much.
There it is right there. Chef Toriel. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, you can join a dinner or supper club there. You can register as a chef and you can become part of their whole virtual dinner experience. It's a pretty cool platform.
Yeah.
And they're Canadian. Rivers Corbett, the founder of it, quite a successful entrepreneurial, kind of a cool name, Rivers Corbett.
Yes, I grew up in Michigan when I was younger, so I.
Cool.
We were over in what's right over the
Windsor.
Windsor, yes. We go there in college. We'd be like, yay, we can drink over here.
Yeah. 19, not 21.
And always like, I can do this. Like, yes. Yeah, we get in a van or one of those buses, you know, like Greyhounds, and they take us over there. That's right.
Yeah, and I think Greyhound's under now. I know it went bankrupt, did it not? I know that part of that has definitely moved on. Greyhound, Voyager, I don't think you can get on those buses anymore. It's sad. Pandemic did a lot of damage.
I think, well, they're still letting people take those buses across the states, and in the U.S. are too.
The big thing here in Canada now is train trips. A lot of people are doing train trips across the country with CN Rail.
That too, yes.
apparently that's a freaking cool way to see it. I
Yeah.
would love to be on the cab of a train drinking wine. Apparently they have a sommelier come on sometimes with a band, and they do a wine pairing while people are on that train itself. That'd be neat.
That'd be nice. That'd be fun.
Yeah, go 5-6 days from Montreal all the way across to Vancouver. It'd be a pretty cool experience.
Nice. That'd be very nice, actually. That'd be beautiful. So do we have any more? Oops. I think we might have a couple more ways for people to get in touch with you. LinkedIn? Maybe
LinkedIn, Instagram at The Drunken Grape. You can hit me up at The Drunken Grape on Facebook, Rob at thedrunkengrape.com. There's info at thedrunkengrape.com. My YouTube channel, The Drunken Grape. I actually invite everyone to check that out, and in particular, tune into like the virtual happy hour experience playlist.
YouTube.
There it is. There's the YouTube channel. That's budding and growing. YouTube's a grind to grow on, so any of the support I could get organically is greatly appreciated. I refuse to answer the call of all these people working for Fiverr and all these companies trying to sell me subscribers, because, you know, you can't buy your following.
No.
It doesn't matter what your following number is. The number is just a scoreboard. I've got friends, honestly, who have on LinkedIn, for instance, like 800 followers, and they're millionaires because each one of those followers is some kind of business asset or real friend and connection.
Yeah.
I know people with 1 million followers that make nothing on LinkedIn.
Right.
You know, so it's about what you do with it and how you really move it. And my belief is build it organically. It'll come. Just keep working at it.
That's what I'm doing. I'm not, I see people that have 3 million followers. And I'm like, right, I have 3,000 maybe.
Yeah, but they're in a pod. You know what? Yeah, right. And they're all great. And then they've got this little pod connection where everyone agrees to spam nonsensical content they would never share otherwise. That somehow gets 300,000 views. That deserves 3 views. But you know, you don't worry about those metrics. Just worry about yourself. You know, I stopped caring about that stuff a long time ago. It's just obviously build it organically, because hey, in the end of the day, if you build something you love and it starts to give you a decent living out of it, you've won the game. Exactly.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Because you know what? I have friends on LinkedIn from like when LinkedIn started, because I've always been in marketing, and whenever I was working for a marketing firm, they're like, are you on LinkedIn? You have to be on LinkedIn. You didn't even have a choice. Like, you have to put in what you do with the company and LinkedIn and just do it. I mean, I've been doing that forever. So that's why I still have a lot of friends in here from LinkedIn from the beginning.
Clicks and it's true. And clicks and views on vanity posts don't give you anything. You want real metrics.
Yeah.
You want people to actually pay attention to what you're really doing and your real story and what your real mission is and what you really want to share with your audience. I mean, it's just common sense.
You do that all the time.
I try, but I mean, it's true. I mean, you can put a vanity post up and get 300,000 views. I've done it. Then you get a post that has far more impact than 150 view people looked at, and that you get people privately messaging you saying, hey, listen, that had impact on me. Thank you for sharing that. Or, hey, how do I get in touch with doing this or that? Or, hey, your services in this area are great. How do we get in touch with you to actually book an event? I mean, those are things that are a lot more important.
So everybody, if you'd like to get in touch with Rob, please get in touch with them on YouTube or through the Drunken Grape or through LinkedIn Live. LinkedIn. I just say LinkedIn. It's fine. Right? It's LinkedIn or something. But seriously, and look at his website. And is there anything else you'd like to say, Rob? Because we're very excited that you're on today.
Yeah, no, listen, thank you very much for having me. This was a great chat. It's I like how it organically went, you know. It's kind of, we probably spun off topic a bit, but having real conversations is really where it's at, and having the bravery to have them and not worry about what the final outcome will be. Worry about the journey.
Yeah. Well, the journey was wine.
And the journey was cool today. Yeah. We started off with wine, got into cancer, talked about a pile of other things, had fun with it, went back to it, talked about the virtual dinner party experience, talked about virtual tastings.
Yeah.
Tim Sohn and his project, Cancer. Cheers to all of you in the audience. Love you guys.
Thank you for coming, you guys. And
thank you for having me, Jenny.
Thank you.
I love that apartment still, by the way. It's pretty cool.
It's not really that skinny, but it's really bright right now because it's still bright down here. It's right up there, though. It's brighter up where you are.
You know what? I didn't think of it. 7:21 p.m. and I still got sunlight outside. So we're starting really into the April spring. This is getting into my most favorite time of year. I love June the most as the month. My favorite month here in Canada, because it's like you get into finally long days of sunlight. And DJ says we're at 50 minutes on this talk. Wow, everybody, we planned 30 minutes, and we're at almost an hour.
But we knew that we will talk. We'll talk a lot. But you guys, I think this is a very important conversation. You didn't just have to talk about wine, but really talking about other important things like cancer and family and things like that too. So thank you, Rob. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Much love, everybody. And thank you, Jenny. Much love to you.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Thanks for coming.